What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy, and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2013 movie Curse of Chucky. So, this movie follows Nika, a young woman who's in a wheelchair because she's paralyzed, and one day her and her mom get this doll in the mail, and later that night her mom dies. And of course everybody knows that the doll is Chucky, but Nika doesn't know really anything about Chucky or anything. And Nika's family comes to her house and everything because their mom's funeral is going to be the next day and stuff, so that they come to the house to spend the night with her and everything, and they start getting killed off one by one by Chucky. And at the end of it, we kind of get a little bit of a backstory on Chucky and find out how he's connected to this family and everything. But I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my favorites in the franchise, which, like I said, aside from Seed of Chucky, I pretty much could say that to an extent every movie in the franchise is one of my favorites in the franchise, because I absolutely love all of these movies. But this one is a really great return to form for Chucky and everything. This was the first one in years that didn't feel like a horror comedy and stuff. It relied a lot on the horror aspects of it, and Chucky still has his little moments where he's funny and stuff, but he's not near as funny in this one as he is the other ones. They play him up to be creepy and everything, and I think that works really well. And you got a pretty good cast in here, although it's mainly Fiona Dorff as Nika. She's just absolutely amazing in the role. She's Brad Dourif's daughter, which when I heard they were casting her, I was like, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's hard to say, but I think she was perfectly cast as Nika. And this is also the first time in the franchise since the first movie where we actually get to see Charles Lee Ray and stuff through little flashback footage and stuff like that. So, and like he's on a couple of like the home videos that Nika and them are watching and stuff, so we actually get to see Charles Lee Ray there physically in this movie, so I thought that was cool too. And Brad Dourif is once again great as Chucky. Really, one of my biggest complaints on this movie is this one takes it back to its roots of being a whodunit and everything, even though the audience knows who's doing it, just like in the first one. But none of the characters realize that Chucky's alive, except for, of course, the little girl and everything. I like that about this movie. Like, they take it back to its roots and everything, and it works really well and everything. And the story's just really well written, and the atmosphere of this movie is done really well throughout the whole movie. It has this eerie vibe from the minute the movie starts, like has this eerie setting and everything. I think part of that also comes down to the cinematography. It has the way that movie's lit and everything just helps make it feel eerie, and it almost somewhat feels like it's made as a haunted house type movie in a way. But I think the cinematography was absolutely great in this movie, some of the best in the franchise. And Joseph Loduca does the score for this movie, and it's a very good score. Probably my favorite out of the scores in all of the movies. He just did a really great job with this one, and I really just have a lot of fun with this movie. I think it's a really great sequel and everything. And it's a huge step up from Seed of Chucky, which when you go that low, there's nowhere else to go but up anyway. But this is one of the best in the franchise. I can't say that it was my most favorite since Child's Play 2 or 3 though, because I do like it more than I do like it more than 3, but not as much as Bride in the first 2 movies. But it's still just a really great entry. that being said, there are things about it that I don't like. Like I said, aside from Nika, most of the characters aren't really that likable. Ian, which is her brother-in-law, he's actually okay. He's not that bad, and her little niece Alice is pretty good too. They're probably the only other characters that I found to be likable and stuff. Barb was really unlikable. Nika's sister. She's actually one of the worst characters in the franchise. I absolutely hate Barb in this movie. She's just very, very annoying, and she's one of those types of characters that you want to see get killed because she's just not very likable at all. And then Jill is their nanny and everything, and she has this side relationship with Barb. Barb's cheating on her husband with her and everything, and she's an okay character. She's pretty much just there to get killed and everything. She has a pretty cool death scene, but I think most of these characters just are not very memorable. And you get Father Frank, played by A. Martinez, and he's actually pretty good too, and everything. He's kind of a somewhat likable character and everything. I liked him. I think A. Martinez did a good job playing him, and he gets a pretty cool death too, and everything. But really, the best stuff that I really love about this movie is getting to see some of the other characters from this franchise pop up in here. You get Tiffany and a cameo, once again played by Jennifer Tilly. She's now in Jennifer Tilly's body, like she was at the end of the last movie. But it was cool getting to see her cameo in here, and she looks more like Tiffany did at the beginning of Bride of Chucky, which I thought was cool. And then you got Alex Vincent in the unrated version. There's a post-credit scene where you see Alex Vincent as Andy, and Chucky gets delivered to his house. It's a really cool scene and everything, and I love that little moment. I remember when I saw this the first time, my jaw dropped and everything. I was like, man, they're going to bring him back in the next one, and they do bring him back in the next one, and it was somewhat disappointing the way they used him in that movie, but just getting to see him in this one, it was really cool and everything. And the little nods to the other movies, you see the picture of him with his mom, and then a picture of Kyle, and the picture of his graduation certificate from Kent Military School. So it had those little homages and everything, which were kind of just nice little continuity things to it, and it was a really, really nice scene. But all of the characters and cast in here are pretty good, but some of them are really likable, especially Barb. I really just can't stand that character. To me, she's even worse than Phil from Child's Play 2, and I really didn't like him either. Or now, I don't know if I could say she's worse than Shelton from Child's Play 3, but she's at least as bad as him to me. But yeah, so the cast is pretty good in here. And for the kills, this movie has some pretty good kills, although some of them are kind of look bad because they do have some CGI, and some of them, like Barb's kill, it could have been a really satisfying kill and everything, but the CGI they used on her eye when he stabbed her eye out and everything, it just was not very good and everything. But her death was kind of satisfying too, because I was still kind of glad to see her die, but it's kind of like with Shelton, I felt like it was a little bit underwhelming. And then you got Jill's death when he pours this bucket of water from the roof leaking because of the rain and stuff, and it electrocutes her because it goes into the electrical socket and everything, and that her computer is plugged into, that she has on her lap. It's really, really cool kill. And once again, the CGI kind of messes with that one too, but it's still a decent kill. And then probably my favorite kill in the whole movie is Father Frank. It's one of the best parts of the movie. Nika and Alice are making dinner and everything. They make homemade chili, and they leave the room for a minute after getting the bowls fixed up, and Chucky pours rat poison in one of the bowls, and for a solid 2 or 3 minutes you're wondering, okay, which character is eating the poison and going to die and stuff, and it turns out to be Father Frank and everything. He ends up starting to feel sick while eating, and he leaves and crashes his car, and the way he crashes and stuff, his head is stuck between some of the metal, and the cops pull the metal off, and when they do, his head just completely falls off and everything. It's really gruesome, and one of the best kills in the movie, and probably my favorite one. And of course you get Nika's mom at the beginning of the movie. Her death is off screen, we just hear her scream and then see the aftermath. It's not like really super great, but it's okay. And Ian's death is pretty good too. Chucky has this axe and he smashes his jaw in and everything, and you can see a little bit of the bones from his neck and stuff when he does it. It's pretty brutal. And that was one of the other best kills in the movie. But all the kills in here are pretty decent. I do think it's one of the weakest kills in the franchise since the first one. Like the kills are good, but even the first one had better kills than this one. I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses of the movie. And the other thing is the design of Chucky. Like throughout the whole movie, when he's just acting like a doll, the doll looks different and everything. It's weird, and everything like he has this weird look to him, and then when he comes to life, he has this uncanny valley feel, especially before they take the stuff off his face to really fill his stitches and stuff. Like he has this really uncanny valley feel. They used really bad CGI on him throughout most of the movie, and the CGI is terrible. I mean, it looked really bad when the movie first came out, and it's really aged it a lot. Like all the other movies in this franchise, the practical effects and stuff hold up really well, but this movie uses really bad direct-to-video CGI, and it really kind of dates the movie, and it's only been out 8 years, almost 8 years, and it already feels outdated because of that and thing. But it does still have its use of practical effects towards the end of the movie and stuff. We still see some practical, and it looks pretty good. And another thing that I noticed that I never really paid attention to before, when you see Chucky walking down the stairs, and it's like like the way the shot is done and everything is from like over his head and stuff, you can tell that it's a person walking down the stairs in a Chucky costume and everything. I thought that was kind of humorous and kind of a cool callback to the first movie, when you would see people dressed up, or you would see the actors playing Chucky instead of it actually being animatronic. I thought that was kind of a little cool callback to that. But really, aside from the CGI though and the weaker kills, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's got a pretty good story. It does have some bad dialogue as well and everything, and like some of these actors feel like they're trying to be on a soap opera, especially the one that plays Barb, and I think that's just down to the way the movie was written and its dialogue was written. But all in all, I love Curse of Chucky. I think it's a really great entry in the franchise, a really good return to form and everything, and it's still one of my favorite movies in the franchise. And I think when I did my top 10 favorite horror movies of the 2010s, I actually had this one at number 1, and I could still stand by that. I still absolutely love it and think it's a really great movie. But yeah, so I'd say I'd give Curse of Chucky an 8.5 out of 10. The only reason it's not getting a 9 is because of the CGI and the kills not being as good. If it weren't for that, this movie would easily have gotten a 9 for me. I absolutely love Curse of Chucky, and it's really a great entry in the franchise. But yeah, so let me know in the comments what you think of this movie, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.